Ladies and gentlemen, the following is another fantastic episode of the Wrestling Fans Podcast, Ringside Society. In one corner, we have the greatest thing on God's green earth. No, we're not talking about money, Mary Jane, or Popeye Spinach. He is the trample dart of Ringside Society, Delaware's greatest American hero. And whenever he goes to Taco Bell, he orders a chief burrito because he's made of chicken and beef. He's Rob Bass, and you are not. In the second corner, we have the monarch of Mardi Gras, the Baroness of Bourbon Street. When she's not co-hosting Ringside Society, she goes on crazy misadventures, such as ruining the Knight family's dinner. By the way, that was all Kathy. That was not that was not me or Rob. Looking for the fabled Cobra Kai dojo and dressing up as the big boss man and trying to arrest people for no apparent reason. Louisiana's own Kathy Knight. And in the third corner, we have that ocean crossing, straight up Boston, flight catching, shot glass snatching, always positive, life is great, repping 592, living in the 718, no cap, straight facts, the worldwide star boy, Remy Blue. And our two special guests tonight, yes, for this special episode, which we'll tell you about in a minute, are two people that were actually previous 15 Minutes of Fandom guests. That's right, 15 Minutes of Fandom, our segment where we actually interview you, the wrestling fans, our fellow wrestling fans that make wrestling events what they are, which is successful, enjoyable, and whatnot. Our first guest hails from the state of Kent. Now, I could be wrong. Is it Kentucky or Ohio?
I'm from Ohio, but I live in Kentucky.
Hailing from Kentucky, but now living in Ohio. She is an avid gamer, and if you check her Twitter, she is constantly playing not just other games, but also professional wrestling games as well. Everybody, welcome to the show, Christina Drobny. And in our second corner, and our other guest, sorry, is a man who's been on here several times before. And we're glad to have him on again. Hailing from Wakanda, but he's actually in the home state, the birthplace of Southern hospitality. That's right. Every time I go there, I gain 10 pounds more because of all that food. I'm surprised I'm able to fit on the plane that I'm going back to New York on. Everybody, welcome to the show, JB versus the world. And so I know y'all are probably thinking, well, Remy, what happened to Giorgio? Well, I guess, he may have had something to do. Hopefully he'll join us later on. But tonight, we're going to talk about something that we've been wanting to talk about for a very long time. As a matter of fact, since the second season of Ringside Society, we've been wanting to touch on it. We've been wanting to speak about it. And finally, we're actually going to make it happen like a captain. We're going to talk about wrestling games tonight. That's right. Wrestling games have actually been around for years, not even years, decades. Heck, when I was a little kid like this, didn't even know much about wrestling. The wrestling games have actually been out. So tonight we're actually going to speak on that. We're going to talk about the ones we like, the ones we didn't like. Yes, we're going to go there too. And also our top 5. And we just had to get JB and Christina on here because they are pretty much the experts on this type of thing as well too. I know a little something. I don't know if Kathy knows, a lot. That part of me, her being the mischievous one, she probably makes her own wrestling games by, wrestling random people and so on. And then of course there's Rob, who is kind of silent, but he always surprises me as well too. The man actually had a copy of Fire Pro Wrestling as well. So here we are. And I believe okay, so Giorgio apparently he's trying to join us. So I'm gonna take a break away, but I will leave y'all with this one question real quick. And I just gotta ask y'all, Kathy, what are your top 5 wrestling games? We're going to go around with the top 5. We're going to start with the top 5. And Kathy, what are your top 5 favorite wrestling games that you enjoyed playing?
So it's not really a top 5. I'm just listing like the ones that I've played. So when I was a little kid, I'd go to the skating rink and they had WrestleFest. So that was an arcade game. They still have adaptations of it now to this day. And then the worst ever, we got show and tell because I still have these. Nintendo, like the old Nintendo, I guess you could see that. WrestleMania Steel Cage Challenge. Worst game ever made. I hate it. I don't even know why I still have it. It sucks. You can't really do anything. I mean, playing in the cage is cool, hitting them against the cage and stuff like that. But you can only do like suplexes and uh drop kicks, and it's very limited. So it sucks. But the next one I still have for the old Nintendo is WCW. It's got the Road Warriors on it, and this one was one of my favorites. Not just because it had the Road Warriors on it, but it was pretty cool to play, and it had Sting, Ric Flair, Ricky Steamboat, the Road Warriors. I think the Steiner brothers were in it. You could do like tag teams and singles play. You ended up beating. You had to beat up this like Andre the Giant looking guy with a face mask, and there was only a few people that you can use to actually beat him because he do the way he would move around and stuff. It's kind of like Mike Tyson's Punch Out, where you had to, certain people would beat up Mike Tyson and others you couldn't really get them to work and stuff. And then another favorite that I have, Tecmo World Wrestling. This one was awesome. Like
Wow.
you could do giant swings like Cesaro does. There's a wrestler that has one. He does like a giant swing like Cesaro does to this day.
Let me
And
guess. That was Boris Chekhov.
um
Chekhov. That was my guy.
it's been a while since I've played it, so I don't really remember, but there was like you could do a torture, one of them did a torture rack for his finisher, one did a giant swing. And then of course, like this guy looked like Animal, kind of Road Warriors type thing. But yeah, this one is really fun to play. I still play it every now and then. And then there was one for regular Nintendo I didn't get. It's called Pro Wrestling, and it has the infamous Starman on it. He's pink with a blue star on top, and he do like flips and stuff. That's one game I still want to get. I've never gotten it, but I've played it before. And then after that, Super Nintendo, there's WCW Super Brawl. I enjoyed playing that one. And then moving into like Sega Genesis, well, Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis, they kind of have the same games for both platforms. But WWF Raw and WWF Royal Rumble, those are pretty cool. Yeah, like chairs and buckets. You could hit people with the buckets, like you just throw it at each other, and you could hit them with chairs. You would be able to throw them your opponent into the barricade, so that was always fun. Um, the favorite game I ever played was it was for Sega and Super Nintendo, I believe. WWF WrestleMania, the arcade game. So this one was kind of like Mortal Kombat a little bit, where like you would wrestle, but you'd have like superpowers. Like, and I remember there was like Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, Razor Ramon, Bam Bam Bigelow. That one was really cool. That one was one of my favorites. And then after that, I had a PlayStation 3, and I would rent like the SmackDown versus Raw games. Like you could get your games at Redbox and stuff like that, and those are pretty cool. I didn't really play them too much because I would rent them and then return them. But like the career mode and different things like that were pretty cool to play with. And when TNA had Impact, their first video game. Hey Giorgio, that one was fun. But the way you had
out
to
how this thing works.
the way you had to kick out for TNA Impact, you had to toggle like the controller, and it ended up like breaking your controller. You try to play other games, and your thing would go too fast, like the directional thing. So that one, I mean, it was cool to play, but it kind of sucked that one part where you had to like try to kick out, and you kept doing this too much to your controller. It kind of broke the controller. So, but yeah, that's my experience with games. I don't really play them much anymore. I know they have like AEW's coming out with one. Hopefully that one's fun for everybody to play with. And yeah, that's my experience with video games.
That's a lot of experience. You actually just took me back 29 years ago when my mom actually bought me my first wrestling game, and I was like, actually, I was asking her if she got WWE, I think it was WWE Steel Cage or whatever, and she was like, no, but she got one called World Wrestling. So I was excited either way. And then when I looked up that game, I was like, I looked at the booklet and everything. It was like all these moves you could do, and
Well,
yeah, that was a fun game. I'd never forget it. And wow, I gotta say, man, you got some collectibles there, man. Like, sheesh. I haven't seen one of those in a hot minute. Like, you probably find that at like maybe like the back of a swap shop or something, or like, geez, man, yeah, you might got some really like valuable relics on your hand there, Cap. Just saying.
Yeah, I'm keeping, of course, I'm keeping the other two, but this WWF one, it sucks. I think I only got it because the Mounties on it, and I was like, you never
Was
see,
that the
you
green
never
one?
see, yeah, it's this one. You never see the
Oh, I had
Mounties.
that one.
The Mounties like
man.
never on
Oh, that's a
anything.
good
So
classic right there.
yeah, I might keep it. I've
Yeah.
kept it all these years. Why not?
So for those of y'all watching, yes, our third guest actually came in. You know, I just got to make an introduction for this guy. He's been on our show several times. I think he's the one. He's been on our show so many times, like I've lost count. Probably, but he's our 15 minutes of fandom alum that has actually probably been on so many times. Like I said, I can't even remember. And it's funny thing is because we actually met this man, and that's why I say when it comes to 15 minutes of fandom, we just have to. It could be we could just find you somehow anyway. You could just be doing cool drawings. Or it could be because you got a cool name. Or it could be because, hey, we clicked on hashtag WWE Raw and we see that you're talking about it and we strike up a conversation and boom, you're cool. We want to have you on our show. So fun fact, that's how we met this man. And we also met Christina that way too. I know she remembers. But with that being said, coming to this from the same state as Kathy, the same state with a lot of good eating and po' boys and whatnot. Everybody, welcome to the show. Not just a gamer, but retro gamer, Giorgio Arcade. Giorgio, how you doing today, man? Or tonight,
Good.
actually.
How are y'all? Sorry, I'm super late.
Great. It happens, man. It happens. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, technical difficulty.
We were just talking about our top fives, and I'm just going around the room asking about everybody what their top 5 games are and so on. So the next man I'm actually going to ask, and I got to think he knows a thing or two about games, about wrestling games himself, because the man had a copy of Fire Pro Wrestling. Rob Bass, what are your top 5s, man?
Ooh.
And he got that's the deluxe edition. I think he has.
Yeah. Yeah, my top 5s. Like Kathy was talking about old school ones. I had so much fun with them. Like the Nintendo Pro Wrestling one with Starman. I remember, was a little kid going over to my friend's house, and us just playing it all day, just tearing it up. And then WrestleMania, the arcade game. I love that game. I think I still have it for Super Nintendo somewhere. And there's a follow-up to it. It was WWE In Your House. I remember it played just like that. It was like, nobody talks about it, but it was better. But it was
that had the Undertaker in it. That was the first one with the Undertaker in it.
Mm-hmm. Now my favorite, my top 5 is I got it on right here. Is Fire Pro Wrestling World. It's not in any specific order, but I got Fire Pro Wrestling World. I like that because you can do all kinds of creations and you can build up a wrestling company from the bottom all the way to the top, going against all other the Japanese federations, the Europe Federation, South America, also everywhere, Europe, everywhere. Number 2, I put WWE 2K16. I was debating on that or 19 because I've had so much fun playing with that with my friends, So I put 16 on there because they had that Austin career thing or whatever you go through is career stuff or whatever. Number 3, I put the WWE Royal Rumble for Super Nintendo. That one I had a lot of fun with playing for with friends and my brother and sister. And I remember we would tear up the L and R buttons because when you grapple, you had to keep hitting that button or whatever. And the first one to tire off, they lost the grapple or whatever. So you kind of had to play a little. All right, I'm gonna let you go a little bit, and then I'm gonna rest my hands. So later on, I'm good to go. And you're like, I'm just tearing you up. So, man. Number 4, I got SmackDown versus Raw '07. I like that one. It's it's pretty cool. It's got the GM mode, and you can make storylines, all that good stuff. Number 5, I went a little outside the box on this one. I went Def Jam Fight for New York because I consider that a wrestling game.
I knew somebody was going to do it before me.
Man, that game is all those games are good, man. They're like wrestling games. You can go up there with Fat Joe and hit people with pedigrees. Red Man, Method Man, all that good stuff, man.
My boy
Ghostface,
D-Mob.
Capadonna. Yeah, D-Mob. Yeah, DMX is on the cover on the first one. Yes. Snoop Dogg was the bad guy in what was it, the second one, I think?
Yes, he was Crow in the second one.
Yeah. Oh man, those were great, man. I love those, man. I wish they would make a redo them or whatever, make a remake of them, man, because they were awesome. I loved them.
Oh man, we are so beefing that you said that before me, because I was so going to say that one.
Yeah, those are my 5.
Oh no, it's technically like a fighting game, but it has wrestling moves. It could be both.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna pick that one because it was great. I had so much fun with it.
Those were fantastic games, and it's a shame that after all this time we haven't gotten them back. We don't talk about that third one though. That third one didn't happen.
Yeah.
Just give us the first 2.
Exactly. Remaster, Def Jam. If you see this, remaster, please.
Yes, please.
You ain't even got to give us a new one. Just remaster. Just reissue it.
Pay the
Something.
rappers too, so we can get it.
Please.
So I gotta ask y'all. So let's say if they and Christina, I'm gonna get to you real quick and ask you your top 5 because I'm interested to hear what you got to say as well. But if we had to redo it, well, if you leave all the old characters in, what new rappers would y'all want to see on there?
Oh, T-Pain. Instantly, T-Pain.
Okay.
I want to see Future on there too.
Badass.
Man, rest in peace, Takeoff. I want to see the Migos on there too.
Oh, and the trios, okay. For some reason, you said T-Pain. Now I'm thinking about somebody putting T-Pain in the sharpshooter, and he starts yelling in auto-tune.
Yeah.
I
would say Ice Cube. Gotta put Ice
Cube
in there.
Is he?
He's in there.
No,
he's in there.
Oh yeah.
He is. I've never seen him in there.
Ice Cube and Ice T were in there.
Honestly,
Ice T was in there, but Ice Cube wasn't.
I'm a bit old school, so I'm gonna go with D12 and Eminem. And heck,
Eminem was in the last one. Was Eminem in the last one?
I don't think so.
No, he wasn't in any of them.
But I'd say D12 and Royce the 5'9". Definitely put those guys in there. That would be pretty good.
I want to see Boosie Badass and Gucci Mane up in there.
Or Jeezy.
Yeah, Jeezy. I like Jeezy.
Jeezy just like
Icon. He was in Def Jam Icon, I think.
Lord, we were talking about Icon.
It'll be interesting though, but I definitely. And you know what? Heck, I wouldn't mind. This guy's a bit controversial in a kind of. Some people don't like him. Some people, but I'd want to see Blueface in a Def Jam, just to see him do that little Crip thing. Okay, he's affiliated with the Crips, but just see how that would go. Just see like yo.
Hey, I wouldn't be surprised. I can see them putting him in there though.
It could happen.
Since we're going with controversy, I'd like to see Kanye in there.
Oh,
hey, why not? Yeah, I want to. That'd be cool.
Kanye, Pusha T, Sahai the Prince. Let me get JID in there.
What about female rappers though? Like, who would y'all want to see for that?
Foxy
Meg, instantly. Meg, off rip.
Okay, yeah, Megan Thee Stallion.
Female rappers. Well, gotta get Nicki in there. Cardi for sure. Glorilla. Gotta get.
Yeah,
I'd probably want this. I don't know how far back your taste for hip hop goes, but Rob, I know you know about her. You gotta know about her. You all '90s hip hop, but Charlie Baltimore.
Oh yeah.
Definitely mind seeing her in there.
Can we get Saweetie in there? I don't like. She can't rap, but we can get her in there as like a girlfriend or something.
That'd be very controversial He would really be angry about that.
I'll be angry too if I only sold 20,000 copies in the first week.
Wow. Yeesh.
Oh God.
All right, Christina, what's your top 5?
I mean, mine are pretty much mainly in the WWE games wheelhouse. My very first game had to be for the GameCube, and that was the Day of Reckoning series. And the career modes were just ridiculous, and I loved it. And that was sort of just what kind of got me into it, because I love a good story. So that's sort of what I look into for a good wrestling game. Is like, yeah, I like the game modes, I like the creation, but it's like, how's the career mode? Because that's just what sticks to me. But the Day of Reckoning games were a lot of fun, just because they were just completely just crazy with the career modes. And then you got to put in Here Comes the Pain. It's a timeless classic.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, it set the groundwork for like all the games that we kind of see today, if you really think about it. And then career mode wise, I think a good runner-up should be the Shut Your Mouth game. Like before that one, it was such a long, detailed, like crazy pathway kind of career mode too, and I really liked that. It never seemed to end, but it was a lot of fun going through it. And it was still very arcadey too, so it was like a good little balance of like story and arcadiness. And then it's kind of tied between the SmackDown vs. Raw 2006 and 2007 games, just because I remember just playing all-nighters all the time with GM mode, just because that's my jam. I love GM mode, and the career modes for both of them were just utterly ridiculous on so many levels, and I loved it. So yeah, I think that might have been 5, possibly. Yeah, we'll go with it. The first couple of Day of Reckoning games, Shut Your Mouth, Here Comes the Pain, and then a tie between the SmackDown vs. Raw 06 and 07s, because they were both just really good.
Okay. JB, how about you?
Okay, so I'm gonna do my best to name games that people haven't named yet. Like, Here Comes the Pain was like top 3, easy. I don't have to think about that.
Yep.
Because just of how iconic it was. Because Christina said that, I'm not gonna say it. So wrestling is always better with friends, and my favorite wrestling games have always been tied to memories of me growing up, usually with friends. And me and my brother went super heavy on wrestling games pretty early on. So 3 of my top 5, I would say, are going to be like pretty older wrestling games. And I got to start with WCW Nitro. Like, that game was like one of the first wrestling games that had like hidden characters, had a reason for you to run through the story modes, earn championships, unlock characters. It was just a whole vibe back in the day. So WCW Nitro, like, wasn't the greatest game in the world, but it was stupid fun. Back on the PlayStation. Also back on the PlayStation, they had WCW versus the World, and that was like my introduction to a lot of Japanese wrestlers, and a lot of Japanese wrestlers that I saw on WCW TV but didn't really know that well. Like Ultimo Dragon and Masahiro Chono were in that game, and the Great Muta was in that game. So, and Jushin Thunder Liger was in that game. So those two, like on a PlayStation, was like a whole different vibe altogether. Another good one, I feel like it goes super underrated, was on the N64, WCW NWO Revenge. That was a crazy good game. 64, 4 players. Used to have like matches, all free-for-alls all over the place, get ladders, get chairs, go backstage, but you had to do it as a group. So that was a crazy good time back in the day. In my freshman year of college, even though, according to my school, I majored in psychology, I really majored in spades in WWE versus Raw versus SmackDown 2007, because I was on that thing all the time with my homies. If we weren't in class, we were there playing spades, or we were at somebody's house playing Raw versus SmackDown. We had our own wrestlers. We had championships. We had our own rules. We had our own league, and it was like the best time. Like, if you walk through like a college like common area and you see a bunch of people holding around a PlayStation and a TV, like who brought a PlayStation? Who brought a TV? It was us. We were loud. We were on it all the time, and it was one of the best memories I had my freshman year in college. fast forward a few years with a different set of friends, WWE 2K13. I believe that was the first. It was either the first one, or the second one in the series. It had Randy Orton on the cover, and it was the first of the 2K series, and it was so fun, and it was completely innovative, and I freaking loved that game like to death. And like it was just for that time and how special it was, and it did a lot of things differently with the universe mode, and because I was never about like story career modes like that. They were fun, but it's like I wanted to craft my own story. I didn't want to do like the hijinks that they kind of wrote me into. Like if you look at some of the like story mode stuff that they talked about back then, it was crazy talk. Like especially like some of the stuff that Triple H would say to you, like in the GM mode. It was insane. Like who wrote this? But universe mode, you get in, get off, you win your championships, you lose your championships, you move up and down the card. That was my thing. And my first beef was against Brock Lesnar. Why? I don't know. He murdered me. But I love that game. And I believe that rounds up my top 5. Nitro, WCW versus the World, Revenge, Raw vs. SmackDown, and 2K. So yeah.
Awesome. So, Giorgio, I know I can only imagine what your top 5 is going to be. Let's hear it.
Oh man. Okay. Okay. So this WWF WrestleMania, the arcade game, I had it on the Sega Genesis, and me and my cousins used to have like a competition, whereas whoever lost, they would have to play whatever game that the winner chooses for the rest of the day. So we had some really good competitive matches there. I loved Bam Bam Bigelow because, like, if you go to the top rope and he jumps off on top of your opponent turns to fire. So I thought that was pretty cool. It's kind of like a fighting game, but it's still wrestling. And of course, I love Razor Ramon in there. So that was a really great one. Then the next one is WCW NWO Revenge, because that was just crazy. I'd never seen anything like that where you saw the full entrances that was really cool with the 3D models. And my cousin used to kick my ass with Scott Steiner. And I always used to pick Glacier or Sting or Goldberg or Kevin Nash. And so that game was ahead of its time. The music was great, especially that intro where they showed Hulk Hogan outside and the little 18 wheeler comes by and they have Sting and he's pissed off at Hulk Hogan. So I thought that was one of the greatest intros ever. So that's number 2. The third one would have to be WWF SmackDown for the PlayStation. That was like the first, big time, like really good PlayStation wrestling game. It was so amazing because you really got to see the entrances for all the wrestlers in full detail. And I remember pulling off the Rock's people's elbow for the first time. It was very difficult. It was not easy to do moves in those games. So I really enjoyed that, especially the season mode. You could create all kinds of wrestlers. The season mode, that one really went on forever. It was like never ending. And then the fourth one would have to be SmackDown Here Comes the Pain. Got to, for obvious reasons. I'm not even going to go into detail. And then the fifth one, that's a tough one. I would probably have to go with golly, that's hard. Man, it's a tie between Fire Pro Wrestling and probably, golly. You know what? I'm gonna say SmackDown versus Raw, the first one. That was a really good one. Sorry, I couldn't pick the last one. It was tough.
Oh, you're on mute, man.
Muted.
I tend to do that sometimes.
Yeah, okay.
So my top 5, in no particular order, actually have to be Def Jam Vendetta. That was definitely my first one. and that combined two of my favorites, hip hop and wrestling. And I was like, yeah, yo, this is cool. And we all know that Method Man, he's a wrestling fan as well too. He's been to a couple WWE events as well too. And a lot of wrestlers, a lot of rappers, they tend to talk about, wrestlers in their rhymes too. You had a Method Man who said, they call me Big John Stud, middle name Mud, dirty water flow, too much for you thugs. That was in And Together Now with Limp Bizkit. And so it was really cool to see him and Redman. Of course, where Method Man is, Redman, it follows not too far. So that was a really cool game to play as well. I like the plots that they had and everything. And yeah, like I think 2 or 3 guys that you could choose from. Each of them were different in their own way, and especially with fighting style. So that was a pretty good game that I enjoyed. The second, my fourth one, would actually be the same one that you mentioned, Kathy. Tecmo World Wrestling. Like I said, I was very excited when I got that game. That was the first time I ever saw somebody do a giant swing. I didn't even know it was a thing all these years. And I would never forget Boris Chekhov. He was I think he was from Czechoslovakia or one of the Eastern European countries. And anytime I faced an opponent, that was my go-to, the giant swing. That was a very enjoyable game as well. The next one I would say is the next one that number 3 for me would actually be Fire Pro Wrestling. And the reason I like that one is because that has like the craziest creator wrestling community ever. Like if you were to Google a popular wrestler, you would definitely more than likely find that wrestler made in somebody's gallery. Like I remember when The Fiend first came out. A couple of days later, I was like, let me Google The Fiend. Let me Google Fiend Fire Pro Wrestling World. Lo and behold, somebody actually made The Fiend, and they made him to a T. I was like, you look at this, you look at The Fiend, and you'd be like, wow, this is how he would actually look if WWE decided, something? Forget all the glitz and glamour and the 3D stuff. Let's go back to doing 2-bit stuff. That's how The Fiend would have looked. So that's my third favorite. My second one is actually a game that got me into the modern style of WWE games. Although it's 19 years old now. That was SmackDown Here Comes the Pain. That was a pretty great game. The reason I like that one was because, you could actually, not only could you, of course, you could do your own special move, but you could do your opponent's special move. So imagine you have A-Train doing a 619 on Rey Mysterio, who's like the smallest guy on that roster, for that game. Or you got, somebody like a Hurricane doing or attempting to do an F5 on a Brock Lesnar. That was fun. That was a fun game to play. I never would forget it. And my number one that I actually enjoyed playing would actually be WWE Raw. I think it was WWE Raw. I forgot what it was. It was the one before.
The one on PlayStation?
The one on PlayStation came out in 98 or 97.
That was Raw is War, I believe.
Raw is War. That was my favorite one because that was what got, when I saw that creator wrestler mode, I went crazy. Like 15-year-old me was like, yo.
That game was special.
Yeah, and at the time, you had WWE and you had WCW. So what me and my cousin would do is we would make WCW wrestlers on that roster. So you'd see somebody like, Hulk Hogan, going up against like Triple H in D-Generation X. Or you would probably see there's some wrestlers that, of course, that didn't make the cut. And you see like you see Big Van Vader wouldn't be in that game, but all of a sudden now he's there. We made so many legends and so on. It was crazy, and it was a very fun game. Didn't have a lot of move sets, but still I enjoyed it, and that was a very memorable game for me. So,
that was the first game that included Kane and The Rock, I believe.
Yeah,
And
I
Stone
think-
Cold. And Stone Cold.
Oh yeah. I also made Marty Jannetty in that game one time too. That was fun. Gave him Shawn Michaels moveset and everything because they pretty much were the same person, just that Shawn Michaels had a bit more charisma and whatnot. So yeah, those are my top fives. So my next question is, what was the worst wrestling game that y'all ever played
Mm.
that you didn't really care for? Like you were like, nope,
2K20.
I can't anymore. I'm just gonna
2K20.
Yeah, that one. That one was bad. I don't know if I was that mad as a kid getting the game because back in the day it was hard to know. But yeah, that 2K21 it insulted me. I felt I was besmirched. I was like, oh my gosh, I could have just taken that money and flushed it down the toilet, and that it would have been more entertaining than that. Like,
What about 2K15?
oh, I can't remember that one. I don't know if I played that one.
Ooh,
Yeah, that
was
one was very
horrible.
bare bones. Yeah,
It was.
except
Was
for I
that the
think the
first one on
universe.
the?
Mhm.
Was that the first one, the Xbox One and PS4 generation, 15?
Yep,
Yeah,
it was. Ooh,
I
Yeah.
remember playing
Those
16.
first, those first,
16 was
those
good.
first gen games, though, that's going to be like a downgrade, and then the next year, that's when they'll really step their game up.
Mhm.
So I kind of took it with a grain.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember that one.
Really
George,
bad
I didn't know
wrestling
that.
game. I'm over here. I'm on my tablet right now, looking at like what were some really
gotta
bad
search.
games.
I remember
There
there
was
was
one
one for the Xbox. It was, I think, WrestleMania 21 or something like that for Xbox.
Yeah.
That was rough. The controls were awful. It was very plotting. I don't know how
Ooh,
else to
gee.
word it other than that, but it was such a clunky game. I remember playing it once, and thankfully I didn't have an original Xbox, so I was like, oh, okay, well at least I didn't have to buy the game. I played it
Now,
once, and that was enough. And
I
now
got
at
and
this
I was like
point,
10 at the
I
time.
got a
Like,
used
now that TNA Impact game was hot garbage.
it had so
But
much potential,
man.
but
It wasn't
yeah.
too bad, like I said earlier. It was that you had to toggle the switch to
Yeah.
get out
Yeah.
of the moves. You break your
Oh,
controller trying to
But
get out.
that third Def Jam Icons, I feel like
Oh
would
my God.
qualify for this because that was the freaking
that
worst.
was weird.
Mm.
Like, how do you have a set formula? It's works. It's proven. You switch it up all together to do the DJ mixing, fighting momentum system. Like, what is this? Why? And for what
Yeah.
reason? Horrible.
There was
George,
one I
how
remember.
The only
There's
thing
one
good
I
about
remember
it was
playing.
the music.
Oh, yeah. Which one?
go ahead.
Oh, me? Oh, okay. Yeah, man, there was one on the Game Boy. I remember it was a WCW one. I can't remember the name of it, but I had it as a kid. That game was awful. It had like 8 wrestlers, and I remember everybody had a sleeper hold, a body slam, and a suplex. And yeah, they might have a special move, but I remember that was all I had, so I used to play it all the time. So hey, yeah, but yeah, it was awful.
Georgia, I want to hear you because I know you played a lot of retro games and you played a couple of games now, in the now. What was the worst wrestling game you ever picked up?
Man, I didn't even play 2K20 because of how bad the marketing was for it, and we barely saw any gameplay for it. But I would say the worst wrestling game I ever played was 2K15. It was so lackluster compared to 2K14. It barely had some of the really good legends to create a character mode or create a wrestling mode. It was very bare bones. I don't even remember what the showcase mode was about. It was just bad. And then don't even get me started with the glitches in the matches and then trying to go online. Like one time this dude he had picked AJ Lee and you can't even play male characters with female characters, but this dude beat me with AJ Lee and he had her at 100 overall. I was like, man, I deleted that game after that. It was just garbage.
I got two. I got 2 of them for y'all that are throwbacks that were just god awful.
Ooh.
WCW Backstage Assault. Horrible. in WCW Mayhem.
Ooh.
Awful game.
WCW at that time itself was awful. So I mean,
Oh
I
yeah,
shouldn't say that, but
because Backstage and Soul that was 2000. That was 2000.
that's when everything went afterwards.
I remember they had WCW Thunder for PS1. I remember I had it, and that game.
That was fun.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I like
That was
WCW
fun.
versus the
I had
World
that
because you had everybody on there, man. It was like, yeah,
Yeah,
all
you know,
WCW people.
Because
Yeah,
Thunder
yeah,
came out. Thunder came out after Nitro,
yeah.
and it basically just kind of just built upon the formula that Nitro had.
Mhm.
I had a lot of fun with it. It was
Yeah,
very simple. Finishers were simpler. You just have a little good time. You had your little health bar, and that was that.
I remember. Oh no, go ahead.
Go ahead, Rob.
Oh no, I was gonna say on WWE Raw and I think it was Monday Night Raw and something else on. Man, I want to say the PlayStation or whatever. It was like, man, WWE Raw or something. Yeah, you for the finishing move, you would have to hit in like Mortal Kombat codes. You know, it'd be like, go down like this, bam, for the rock bottom or something. Or if you want to do a stunner, it was like up, down, down.
You had to go get a Game Informer.
Yeah, it was like, what? Yeah, you didn't even give them in the thing. You had to go buy something. It was like, oh.
You got to go get you a Game Pro magazine for that one.
So the worst one I ever played that I actually put down, y'all are not gonna believe this, but the worst wrestling game today that I've played, and I mean it was so bad that I actually had to I was like, forget this, I'm just gonna put this down and play something else. WWE 2K18.
Yep.
While that game played it, I was like, what is this? And I was like, yeah, I can't anymore. I didn't buy the physical copy. I bought it on the PlayStation Market, and I was like, yeah, no, I can't do this anymore. But crazily enough, and this is why I always say, why, not I always say, but why when people say less, sometimes less is more, and it's better. It tends to be true because I stopped playing that game with all the graphics, all the glitz and glamour, and the money put behind it, and I started playing Fire Pro Wrestling. I paid for the deluxe edition, which was like what, $90, which is the most I ever paid for a wrestling game, and that game was good enough for me. There wasn't too much. Yes, it was 2D graphics, borderline something from the late 80s, early 90s, but it was good enough for me, and I enjoyed it. I just enjoyed playing that game. So that was my the worst game I ever played. I know it sounds weird because those of y'all watching like 2K is like, I mean, it's bad, but it's not that bad. But yeah, I couldn't mess
It
with
had
it.
its issues.
2K has some bad years.
They had issues too.
Yeah. So what was the weirdest wrestling game y'all ever played? I could tell y'all right now. Like it wasn't bad, it wasn't good, but you were like, Mine. I know nobody talked about this one yet, but mine was Legends of Wrestling. That one was, but y'all have at this one.
The weirdest game.
I would know one. WWE All Stars. Y'all remember that?
I was getting ready to say that one. I was getting ready to say that one. That one was kind of crazy. But I have it on my 3DS though. But I like it though. It's all right.
I heard that was fun. I never touched it.
Okay. All Stars, isn't that the one with like Coco Beware and all of them? Came out like
no, it's more where the wrestlers look like action figures. They was like,
yeah.
They're
all huge.
They were huge.
Oh yeah.
They jump up like if you're gonna pile drive somebody, they jump up like 20 feet in the air, do like 3 turns and a flip, and then blam.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Macho Man, when he does the elbow drop, he'll just stand there, do a giant backflip, get onto the top rope, jump up, and he's like, yeah.
Well, I didn't like about it. They had all the legends and some of the current WWE stars behind the DLC thing. You had to pay for them. I didn't like that. Like, you got to pay for Drew McIntyre?
Oh, dang. Yeah, I didn't know about that. I only got it for 3DS. I know they had it for PlayStation, Xbox.
It was in the marketplace for
Yeah,
free
they
at
had a
one point.
season.
Oh, okay.
Wow. So, Christina, what about you? What was the weirdest one you ever played?
The one that sticks to my memory the most is from the GameCube days. It was oh gosh, it was WrestleMania 19. I had to look this up. I'm like, which one was it? Was it 18 or 19? And it looks like it was 19. But like the career mode was called the revenge mode, and it was like you had to pick a character or create a character to go through it. And it was like your character got fired from WWE, so you're going through like all these security guards and all these weird challenges just to try to potentially get rehired. It was just the most bizarre thing ever. I'm like, why am I going through all these security guards? And it was like all timed, and I'm like, what is happening here?
You
But
gotta
it
go
was,
through it to get to it.
yeah, it was like, it was so strange, but I absolutely loved it as a kid because I was like, oh, this is intense. I need to I got like a challenge to go through. So it's like, it was weird, but it was still kind of fun at the same time. But like, you could tell it was like just a product of its time. And we had some good GameCube games too going on for a little while, but that one was just weird.
It sounds kind of like WWE meets Tekken Force mode.
Yeah, it was so strange. I'm like, what is this game? What's happening here? It's like, do I not get to go for the title? Am I just going through all these random security guards?
Nah, you in the way of my paycheck. Fuck them
Right.
titles.
Trying to get back to my paycheck.
Kathy, how about you? What was the weirdest one you ever played?
So probably the weirdest one I played, it came out like a few years ago. It was for your phone. It was like WWE meets Bejeweled. Like you had to match the jewels and they do their different moves and stuff.
Oh,
Yeah,
I forgot the name of it, but you could play. It had like Sting, Ric Flair. It pretty much had everybody in it. They kept adding to it, like all the different characters. You could play as the New Day, and you would get like points, and you'd go to different cities, and then the little matching Bejeweled. It would make a move. I got stuck on it, so I gave up on it, and I got rid of it. But yeah, that one was kind of fun, but kind of weird at the same time.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, we just lost Christina. Yeah, I was like, yeah, I downloaded that game. It was exciting for like 2 seconds. I was like, yeah, I can't. Nah, no, can't. Although I was always wondering though, what would happen if like let's say Dean Ambrose left or Cody left? Would they take them out of the game? Or I mean, especially because some of those characters you have to pay for. So would they take them out, or would they let you keep them? Because I mean, you spent your money. Why would they take something away that you
nah, they wouldn't. You know, that company's about the bag, so you gonna pay for them.
Just like 2K22, they kept in a lot of release WWE stars.
Yeah.
Because they're already made, so it would be ridiculous to push the back just to take some people out.
Yeah, they have to like establish the roster pretty early on because you have to like get the career mode going and that sort of thing. So that would make sense.
Like,
yeah, that's it. WWE Champions. That was the name of it. Yeah.
Yep.
I played that for a while and I'd get stuck and then I'd quit. I was like, no. I couldn't get any further, so I was like, eh.
Has anybody here played WrestleDeck?
WrestleDeck. Why does that name sound familiar?
Somebody on Twitter is View Raw, a homie named Steven. He's the one that created the game. He got a whole bunch of independent wrestlers as part of it, like real independent wrestlers to be part of the game. And he actually got like some like
Steve what?
Steven, View Raw on Twitter.
I think I heard about that before. Is it like a? Is it the Return of the Indies game?
It's kind of like a card game, but like with a wrestling ring.
I think I've seen that. I know there's one guy that has a bunch of wrestlers. I forgot what his name was. Actually, I was trying to talk to him about actually getting him on the show to talk about that about the game. I forgot, but he had like a bunch of like indie people that he signed. I think he even had like Roddy Piper's daughter on there at one point. That was part of that game. And
So I'm not sure if she's on there, but like he got like a whole bunch of like I think Eva Lisa's on there, like a whole bunch of people. Like some people are like with AEW like before they signed. Like he got them to be in the game. And
are you talking about the wrestling code?
Huh?
Are you talking about the wrestling code?
No.
Okay,
No,
okay.
And the game's called Wrestle Deck. But that's probably my pick because I'm not into card games like that. There's not like physical card games like Uno or Spades or something like that. So I'm not into physical card games like that. But that game, played it for a while. Like it was so interesting and it was so different. Like having like your wrestler move comes up with your cards with your wrestler and kind of customizing your move set and based on the deck that you have. And it was just something different. It's free for mobile right now if you just like want to like check it out. But that was probably my pick for like weirdest, but still like addicting game I've had for wrestling.
Yeah, I know there's another one that some guy I gotta check. And he's probably gonna pop up, but he had like a bunch of like wrestlers from all over the country on that one on this game that he's making. But it wasn't an actual game. It's kind of like one of those stats games where you can book your own shows, and it was kind of weird. But it did actually open like introduce me to a whole new set of like independent wrestlers and so on. So yeah, that was pretty interesting. But speaking of independent wrestling games, has anybody here ever heard of the Wrestling Code?
I have heard of that. Yeah, I have heard about
You've
that.
heard of that. You've heard of that.
I think I've seen like some like early gameplay of it. It's pretty interesting.
So for those of y'all watching at home, the Wrestling Code is actually a new game that's coming out. I forgot what the name of the company is, but they're somewhat established. They have like other games out under their banner, but this is their first wrestling game. And not only is it their first wrestling game, it's the first ever independent wrestling game. That's right. When we mean independent wrestling game, we mean that it's a wrestling game with wrestlers that are not with WWE or AEW or New Japan or Impact or Ring of Honor is now AEW. They're just freelance wrestlers that are on this game for you to play. There's Alex Gracia was on there. I believe Kurt Angle signed on to be in the game as well too. Enzo Amore is on there. I believe the Tate twins, before they signed to Ring of Honor, were on there as well. So it's a great, to me, in my opinion, it's a great concept because it's having wrestlers that are actually in the industry. They're not made up, but at the same time, they're not signed. They're doing their thing on the independent circuit. And I like that game personally because it actually raises morale. I like things like that because it raises morale. It makes wrestlers, think, well, hey, you know something? I don't have to be signed to be in a video game. This guy is doing it for us. He's making it worthwhile. So I'm actually looking forward. That's one of the games that I'm actually looking forward to. But Christina and Giorgio, y'all know about that game. What are y'all's thoughts on that?
I'm the type of person that just waits until the game is out, and I like to get my hands on it before really making any sort of decisions. Like, I know, like, early on, that's just how I am. I just like to get my hands on things. I mean, I remember when 2K20 was out and all the, like, craziness that was initially, like, going on, and we were all having all these problems, like, I felt like people kind of gave up on that one a little bit early because of that, but it kind of got a little bit better as like, things were getting patched and that sort of thing. But I think like for the Wrestling Code, we're going to have to like wait and see and play it ourselves. I think that just might be me thing, but yeah.
Okay. Georgia, how about you?
She has a good way when it comes. Like I said, I saw some early footage. I don't know how long ago. It may be a year or so ago. It looked pretty interesting. It looks like an arcade style almost. I don't think it'll be simulation based like WWE 2K. I think they're gonna make it really fun, accessible for anybody to pick up and play. I like the idea of the independent talent getting on there. I'm very familiar with Alex Gracia, So I would buy it just to play as her. I think that would be cool. I need to see more gameplay. Gameplay is very important and it needs to be really smooth and stuff. But of course, like Christina said, we gotta play it for ourselves because what one person may not like about it, somebody else may like about it. It's one of them games. You have to just try it, and then if it's good, cool. If not, then you just don't have to play it no more. So yeah, I mean, I'm willing to give it a chance.
Yeah, me too. I'd like to see if like what kind of game modes that they're going to be in there. Like, is there going to be a story mode? Is there going to be like other types of modes? I don't know. I want to see like the match types and all that stuff too.
And do their customization
Yeah,
because I
gotta have
need
a lot
that.
of replay value.
That's something I'm curious about. I'm curious as to how. I mean, from what I heard, I talked to Grimm's Toy Show, who's also a pro wrestler. Y'all know Grimm, the toy show
Yeah,
guy.
I
I
watched
met him
some.
at Comic-Con over here in New York last year, and he said um, they're actually the way they're working on it. It's going to be like a year or two. So he pretty much said 2023 in 2021. He told me like in the next 2 years it'll be out. So 2023, which is going to be 2 years from the time I talked to Grimm. That's looking like the release date. So they say perfection takes time, and I'm hoping that this is a case where it was worth the wait. Because and it to me, I mean, I'm hoping they're successful. I'm hoping because, like I said, this is something that's innovative that if done right, can raise morale. So I'm hoping that it works out, and it's not like, okay, you hyped us up all these years for nothing. Like back to WWE 2K or the new AEW game or back to Fire Pro because there's nothing new here to see. I'm hoping that it actually is something. And I think I got a feeling they're doing right because I mean they have actual wrestlers coming in there. They're getting um the right facial
Little
structures.
skins and stuff.
Yeah.
Mocap.
And they actually had some of
Yeah.
them going in to do the moves themselves. Like and those that can't do the moves anymore or as crisp as they used to when they were younger, they have people going in there like we've had like several people from our show, several guests from that have been on the show before, actually work for that same company to execute the moves for those characters that are going to be in the game. So
Nice.
it's it's looking very interesting. So, second to last question, AEW, they're making the leap into the wrestling game into the wrestling game world. What are y'all's thoughts on that?
Who wants to go
Uh,
first?
I'm still on some. I'm still on some wait and see. I gotta need to see a little bit more before I'm sold on it. Um, it's good for them. It's good for the performers. I'm glad for a lot of them to finally make it to a video game for their first time out. Um, I think it'll be a little bit different than seeing people who I've seen in like 2K kind of transition over to wrestling if that's not WWE, like a Moxley or a Miro. That'll be different, but good for them. But I need to see more because I'm not completely sold on it just yet.
Okay. Giorgio, what's your take on this?
Well, let's see. Well, for one, they talking about is available for pre-order, but we really haven't seen that much gameplay. And if I was other people, I will really wait till we see more full matches before you decide to pre-order it. Because we've seen a lot of games where they just show a cinematic trailer or they may show quick little gameplay clips here and there, and then they just want you to buy the game. So I would say make sure you do your research and look at everything you can find about the game before deciding to get it. Also, I heard that there's a rumor saying that it's going to be on Game Pass on Xbox. So if you have an Xbox or if you have a PC, you can get Game Pass on either of those. And they say that the AEW game is going to be on there. So if it is, I would try that and to see if you really like it or not too, because that might help you decide if you want to go on and purchase the game And the cool thing about that is you get a discount if you decide to buy the full game. And lastly, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, the graphics are not that good. It looks like PS2 graphics." Now, my thing is, I don't mind that because I like the art style, I like the art direction. They're going for that arcade vibe. That's what they want. And of course, the influence is like based off of No Mercy, the WWF No Mercy game. I like it, and of course, the characters they kind of got that Street Fighter vibe with how the character designs are. For me, the main thing I care about is that it's fun to play. It don't have all them glitches. They give us some good game modes. They say it's going to be over 40 weapons in the game, so that's pretty cool. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what the the game modes are. Is it going to have any replay value? Because that's going to be really important. And I would say don't try to compare it to WWE 2K because they're two different games. But definitely wait till the more gameplay is released before you go and pre-order it. And I think it might come out early 2023 because they wouldn't have it available for pre-order if it wasn't almost done. So that's my thoughts on it.
Okay.
And pre-orders usually go out 8 to 12 months beforehand. And about the graphics, I think Theek is doing it. So the same company that did those older WCW games back in the day.
Mm.
Yeah, Team Ukes, I think. Yeah.
Christina, how about your thoughts? Like, your thoughts on the AEW game?
Yeah, I think the big thing is going to be like what we're going to be able to really do in the game because it's like, yes, we want a functioning game. That's ultimately what we all want, regardless, right? But there needs to be that replay value there. I don't want it to be like just like exhibition mode and creations and that sort of thing. I want there to be, I'm looking at the PlayStation Store listing, and all it says for the career mode is deep career mode. Like, what does that mean? Like, do we have pathways, or what's going on here?
Yeah.
So I'd like to know more about the game modes. Because I mean that's kind of the bread and butter of a game. There needs to be games inside of a game, at least for me anyway. And I think that's just mainly because we're kind of used to it. But even if you take a look at the older games that they're kind of modeling off of, they had those like branching out career modes and that sort of thing. I like how we've gotten a general idea of like some of the match types in there, but AEW's had some crazy match types just in their short time on television and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So I'd like to know if they're going to include some different matches and stuff like that. Like I want to know what the match types are going to look like too, but I would like to know more about like the career mode and if we're going to get any other game modes other than like exhibition and the creation suite because I need something to sink my teeth into and have the replay value and stuff because at least for me I don't like playing online like at all just because it's like I quit like a long time ago on online and I just like a good story. Like when I think of the wrestling games that I like the most, it's like what do I come back to? Like what's going to keep me coming back? So I think, we got to find out the match types, the game modes. There's still a lot more that we need to know. But I'm excited for it. I mean, it's another video game. It's great for AEW to have like that kind of a product out there. I know people are excited, maybe have some mixed feelings about it just because of like how very little information that we've gotten so far. But I mean, I'm cautiously optimistic. And again, I like to just play and just see how I like it or not. So,
Okay.
Now, what if in the career mode, in the first month of the career mode, you're all over every show and then you disappear for 8 months?
No, you end up on dark or dark elevation.
Oh yeah, that's messed up. If you lose a bunch of matches and they demote you to dark.
There you go.
Hey, better.
Yeah.
We're thinking right now it's better dark than Ring of Honor.
I feel for Ring of Honor.
That's a fact.
Poor Ring of Honor.
Kathy and Rob, what's y'all's take on AEW on the video game?
They pretty much all said what I was going to say. So if I say anything, it's just repeating everything, beating a dead horse. So yeah, I agree with that. Everyone there, what everybody said so far. So.
Yeah, kind of the same thing. I'm happy for AEW. Hopefully they make more than one game. Like it's going to be a series. This is just a test run. Hopefully people give it a chance, let it play out. And yeah, it'll be cool. Probably, people that have played, we all played as Sting before. You can play as Sting in something else now. That would be cool. I haven't played anything in forever, so I'm not gonna be one to play it. But hopefully everybody enjoys it, and I'm pretty sure people are gonna complain about stuff. That's just how the world works. But hopefully they give it a chance and let it play through and have fun playing it.
Oh yeah, I'm me personally. I'm just gonna wait until it comes out, and then I'm gonna see how it is, and check out the reviews, check out the gameplay, and if I like it, I'll probably maybe purchase it. Maybe get my PS4 from out of the closet and then purchase it, and then purchase
Well, I
it.
can hook you up with a
That
copy
thing's gonna
of
sound like a
it.
jet engine.
Oh my god, yeah, I do.
Your PS4 gonna sound like a 757 in your room. It's gonna sound like a chainsaw. Just when you used to cut it off.
Yeah, it just might. It just might. I got my seasons for gaming. That's why. So I'm like, yeah. I'll play for like 2 months, then I'll put away for a month, then I'll play again. So yeah, it's like that sometimes.
I hope it's good, because I'm an equal opportunity hater. If it sucks, I'm gonna let you know about it. I'm gonna come up with every joke imaginable.
Yep.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. Trust me. So my last,
very.
so last question. What would sell a wrestling game to y'all? Like, what would make? Let's say a company's coming out with a wrestling game. What would they have to sell to you? And what would how do I word this? What would sell you on that game?
I like having a
the best game you've ever played.
I like having a good GM mode and career mode. Not with just like one thing and you're done. Maybe a little branch off or something. That'd be pretty cool.
Universe mode is usually my go-to, but I need options. Give me customization. Like, give me like an opportunity to make my own roster, to customize wrestlers, to customize outfits, to customize like storylines, and give me all the options to make the experience my own.
Okay. Giorgio, how about you?
For me, it's definitely gameplay. It can't be too complex, because I would want it to be a wrestling game where kids can pick up it and play. But you don't have to, teach them all these complex controls. They should just be able to pick up and play it. But also it has a challenge to it. It's easy to pick up, but challenging to master. I like the whole arcade style. So I would definitely want it to be a more arcade style of wrestling game. It has to have a lot of game modes, because you gotta keep people playing this. So I'll say that a good career mode where you have men and women separate stories. You know, and of course the career mode for each, for men and women, it has branching paths. So based on your decisions, your career mode can either turn into a really bad experience or a really good one. You can turn a heel or babyface at any given time, depending on, like, after you complete a story or whatever. And the creator of roster mode needs to have a lot of good options, especially a lot of hair options, because that'd be lacking in a lot of the wrestling games now. And yeah, oh yeah, and then of course, a good functioning online mode. You gotta have that, because some people like to do that. But I care more about the offline content. And lastly, a media mode, so you can look at like all your unlockables and stuff, and no microtransactions. That's it.
Awesome.
No microtransactions. That's an any game.
Christina, I know you got a lot of selling points for you that they'd have to hit for you, because I see you on Twitter. You're like, I just complete this quest, this mode, that mode, gonna play it again. Tell us what would be what would a company have to sell you on in regards to wrestling games to make it like the best wrestling game you've ever played, to the point where you're running down the road telling your friends, "Yo, you got to play this"?
Yeah, definitely the gameplay and the game modes for sure. Another big selling point for me with any wrestling game is the roster itself, because it's like I want to have some people I'm looking forward to playing as, right? And especially if
Mhm.
there's like new people, like if it's like, oh, cool, like we're having a new WWE game. Who are the new people in there? I get most excited about the new people because it's like I want to see how they're going to do the entrances and all that stuff. So definitely, I think roster I think is kind of important. Again, just because you need to have people in the game to kind of look forward to with the career modes and maybe a general manager type of mode or whatever kind of game modes there are going to be. The creation suite is definitely important because I know a lot of people get really into it and get super creative. I'm trash when it comes to just creating like anything. Um, I'm not too bad at arenas. I'm getting better at those, and that's about it. But I just love seeing people get so creative and just I don't know how people do it with like creations and stuff. They just get super into it, and I love it. I love how that's like a separate community in and of itself. So creation suite, game modes, the roster, and then just we need a game that just works. Like it can be flashy, it can be arcadey, it can be simulation-y, but the game just has to work. We don't need it to crash every 5 seconds or glitch out, whether that's online or offline. We just want a smooth gameplay experience.
Awesome. And our good friend Albert Gourier, aka our Albert Armageddon, said graphics secondary, easy to figure out gameplay, good assortment of characters, good gameplay modes, and fun factor galore. This is why I absolutely love Fire Pro. Albert, why do I have a feeling that you actually have made the Black and the Brave? And I'm not talking about the school. I'm talking about Seth Rollins and Marek Brave. You called Seth Rollins Tyler Black, and you have them facing for the tag team titles. I got a feeling you did that, but hey, that's you have great taste. Um, but yeah, Kathy, how about you? I mean, I know you. It doesn't matter to you because you fight in real life. You pretty much bully people and all that too. And I'm just messing with you. But yeah, what would sell you on a wrestling game?
Pretty much what Christina said. Smooth gameplay, no glitches, good roster. It's cool how WWE goes back to the downloadable content. You get like all the legends and stuff because you want that little bit of nostalgia from when you grew up and stuff like that too. But yeah, that's what I would want. And then because I used to play when I did play games, SmackDown versus Raw, it had the loading thing and it would play music and it was the same music over and over again, the same loading screen. Like I don't like that redundancy, but like keep it fresh. That's another thing I would do, and just have something you can have fun with. Because why you don't want to waste your time playing something that sucks.
Awesome. For me, it would be. Oh, I say what my selling points are. For those of you that are actually making a wrestling game, um, Tony Khan, if you're listening, if you want to sell Kafka on that new AEW game, make sure you have every single version of Paige and also Zack Zodiac downloadable, and also Soraya Knight and maybe even Ricky Knight downloadable. You'll definitely sell her on that. She'll go crazy. She'll say, "Hey Remy, what all I want for Christmas is that game," or else she'll threaten me with some antic. So if you really want to sell her on that, just put that in there. Um, but yeah, what would sell me on a wrestling game? Definitely variety. Um, that is, like a lot of wrestlers to choose from. Also, the creator wrestler thing. That's what definitely sells me as well. Um, Pretty much what the same thing that Fire Pro Wrestling is. To me, that's a great game. The fact that you can have somebody like you can actually make the Fiend and have the Fiend's move readily available there to attribute to him. That's something that would definitely sell me. You have like Iron Sheik. You can make Iron Sheik and have him with the camel clutch, or an AJ. You can make AJ Styles and have him do the Pele kick as you know, one of his signature moves, you know, stuff like that, and also a pretty good storyline. But also at the same time, you know, something that a couple of challenges as well too, but not too hard challenges because I always say that wrestling games should be fun. They should be fun. They shouldn't be complicated. Yes, have some goals, but not too crazy goals. And for Pete's sake, the moves should not be that difficult to do. I shouldn't have to press 5, 7 buttons just to do like a submission move or a clothesline or an Irish whip to the far side or something. I mean, it should be like Here Comes the Pain. You know, you want to do F5. I don't know how it was for GameCube, but for PS2, you hit L1. You hit L1. Boom. You know, you just gotta look for the indicator. Boom, you hit it. You know, if you're trying to do Eddie Guerrero's frog splash, you're on the top rope. You see the indicator come on. Boom, hit L1. That was the easiest way to execute finishing maneuvers. So that's something that was also it's pretty much, you know, player friendly and whatnot. Yeah, and that's pretty much my take on it. So with that being said, I just gotta you know, it's about that time. For those of y'all that are listening, that listen to us, if you want to add your own comments, feel free to add them under our platforms, our Twitch, Instagram, YouTube platforms, the comment section. Not Instagram, Facebook. Sorry, I keep saying Instagram. But yeah, you can definitely feel free to add them under our to add your own comments as to what you thought about what you think about wrestling games and the best wrestling game you've played, the worst you've played, the weirdest one you've played, things you like about them, things you don't like about them. But by all means, feel free to let us know your opinions in the comment boxes below, and yeah, we'll definitely appreciate that. But with that being said, I just gotta thank, you know, Giorgio, Christina, JB. Thank you very much for, you know, taking time out of y'all's busy schedule to be on our show to shoot the breeze about pro wrestling. JB, I know this was a bit last minute for you, but I was like, wait a minute, don't JB play games? I gotta have him on. It would be a cardinal sin if I had this episode and not have him on. Ideally, it was supposed to be Giorgio, Christina. Y'all been on. We've been wanting to do this since like better part of like 2 years.
Right.
Yeah.
And we had both of y'all in mind. And it was like, yeah, when we do a wrestling gaming episode, gotta have Christina and Giorgio on it. You know, it's a must. So thank y'all very much. Really and truly appreciate it. Y'all appreciate y'all doing this for us. With that being said, before we shut this show down, where can fans find y'all on social media? Ladies first, Christina, we'll start with you. Where can fans find you on social media when they want to check out your gameplay, your progress in the next wrestling game you're playing, or if they just want to talk about some good old wrestling?
Yeah, so everyone can find me on Twitter and Instagram at CDrobney, DROBNEY 96, and it all links together. So my YouTube channel's linked on both of them as well. So yeah.
Awesome. Y'all make sure y'all follow her. Trust me, she's that incredible that, you know, she's better than me at wrestling games. Me, I wouldn't say I'm stuck, but I'm not on Christina's level. I'm just like, you know, playing. That's it. You know, if I beat it, I beat it. If I don't, I don't. Giorgio, how about you? Where can fans find you on social media when they want to, you know, talk wrestling games or heck, even talk about retro gaming? You know, hopefully one day you and I could play a game of Double Dragon. You know, I mean,
Oh, definitely.
You know, kick some Shadow Warrior butt, man.
Oh yeah, I got a few ways we can make that happen. But I'm Giorgio Arcade. You see my name right there, and it's the same on Twitter, Instagram, and then on YouTube as well. You just type in Giorgio Arcade and put a space in between after that. So yeah, it's pretty much the same across all of those platforms. And I also have 2 recent wrestling game videos that I think people will really like. And I have my merch site, which is georgiostavern.com. But I'm also going to be getting me a Ringside Society shirt very soon, too. Got to rep this awesome Best Wrestling Fans podcast right here. But that's pretty much it.
Hey, thanks, man. We got a new one. We got Stripe Lives Matter, for the referees. So check it out if you haven't seen it already. And we got some new designs coming. JB versus the World, not Scott. What's his name versus the World? What was that old movie?
Scott Pilgrim.
Scott Pilgrim.
Scott Pilgrim. Yeah. So this is the sequel. JB. You know what I'm saying? Went to Atlanta. He's fighting the whole world and kicking butt. 8 bits. 32 bits, 64 bits at a time. He's making it happen like a captain. Where can fans find you on social media?
Everybody and their mama can get it.
There you go.
You can find me at JB versus the World spelled out right there on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. I've been on a little bit of a hiatus. I've actually been sick from like the last time I was on this show like a month ago to like earlier this week. I've been sick this entire time. So I'm back in good health now, so look out for a couple of videos this week. Kevin Conroy tribute, Jason David Frank tribute, Wednesday review. I got some AWA content, and I'll be back on the MCU show now with Complete Nerd Authority tonight. You can check that out on their Twitter page at CNA Authority. Also, if you want to just talk to me on Twitter, it's JBV the World on Twitter because Versus was just too long to it. And my central hub on all things me is jbversustheworld.com, spelled exactly the way you see it right here.
I think you should. Hey, JB, I think you should definitely put that thing on that thing on a shirt. JB versus the World. Everybody name. I wouldn't say put mama because you might offend somebody. Who's my mama? Nah, bro.
In that case, I would tell them yes. Yes, your mom too.
Or you could put JBV the World. This ain't a court case. Everybody and their mom could get it. I would definitely buy that shirt. I'm like, yeah. But
I like that. I like that.
But y'all definitely follow him as well. He's real cool peoples. If you a nerd, I'm a nerd too. I don't care. Y'all can say what y'all want. I'm a nerdy. I like Marvel and DC stuff. Follow this guy if you're into nerd stuff like I am, and trust me, you will not be bored. Especially it's Marvel, man. Come on. And man, Kevin Conroy and JDF, man. Hey yo, RIP to those two great guys, man. Like they definitely made my childhood enjoyable. Man. All right. Down to the last two. Rob Bass, the ghost to my the Tommy to my ghost, the Bubba Ray to my Devon, and the Charlie Haas to my Shelton Benjamin. Where can fans find you on social media when they want to talk wrestling, find out when your next appearance is, and where can bookers and promoters find you when they want to book you for their shows?
All right, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Rob_Bass82, Facebook, Rob Bass. January 14th, 1CW, CCW, we're having a show in Houston. I don't know what matchups are happening yet. I'm going to be out there reffing. And everybody there, quit sending me messages. I did not screw Miles Millennium out of the title. Sean Hardy rang the bell. I was just as shocked as everybody, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I don't need it. Yeah, you don't have to send me anymore, you know what I mean? I don't want to have to go there, cut a promo, and be like, please stop harassing, messing with me and stuff. So, I'm just teasing. Y'all can send as much as you want. You can harass me what you want. But, yeah, you can check me out there the 14th. Yeah, I'll be there. I don't think anything else for the rest of the year. So
awesome. Kathy Knight, the Money Penny to my James Bond, and the Pepper Potts to my Tony Stark, and the Tennille to my Captain. Where can fans find you on social media when they want to talk wrestling, all things Becky Lynch and Paige, or good eating from the great state of Louisiana?
So I'm on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, and Discord, all at BLUE70517. And you can catch me next Sunday at Christmas Chaos for Reality of Wrestling. Should be a good show. Come say hi.
Man, I'm jealous, man.
Hey, Cassie. I'm not sure if you got some food tips. I'm cooking up some Saints next week. Some Falcons coming into town. They're gonna help me out with that. So if you want to talk about that, you know where to find me.
Well, might make some Dirty Bird stew for those Falcons.
Wow, man.
I got a Saints
Smoke
blanket right here. Why are you gonna do that to me? I love the Saints. I don't love their
everywhere,
season now. I don't love them now. Like they're horrible, but I'm still a Saints fan.
man. Whew. Smoke everywhere. But if y'all want to find me on social media, not that I have anything cool to say these days, but who knows? Maybe you'll hear me say something. You can find me on Twitter at @TheRemyBlue. You can also find me on Instagram under at @TheRemyBlue as well. Same thing. And on Facebook, it's the same thing as well, Remy Blue. Our podcast is all over the place as well. We're on Twitch at Ringside Society 2019, Instagram and Twitter at Ringside Society. We're on Facebook as a Facebook group. Just type in Ringside Society and you'll see us. We're on Spotify. Apparently we're on Hive. I don't know why we're on Hive, but yeah, we're on Hive at Ringside Society. And we are also on Teespring, where we have official Ringside Society merchandise. We have t-shirts, we have tank tops, we have long sleeve shirts for the cold weather, hoodies. We even have coffee mugs for your favorite warm beverage as well. So definitely check out our website, cop some merch. We have the new Stripe Lives logo out. You know, that one's for the referees that don't get the recognition but deserve it. So definitely check us out, cop some merch. All proceeds go back into keeping our show afloat. They do not go back into our pockets. Trust me. I'm still eating hamburger helper. Rob is still eating Kool-Aid sandwiches, and I really don't want to know what Kathy's eating right now. It may be some Big Mac that she beat up a guy for. But yeah, I gotta stop putting your business out there, Kathy. She gonna get me one of these days. But yeah, it goes back into our show. It doesn't go back into our pockets. I assure y'all of that. And also, last but not least, we also have a YouTube channel where you can see cool episodes like this one, like the one I recently did with Chisa Marie, who is a musician over in Seattle, who's also a new wrestling fan, and also our other recent episode with Jay Bougie as well. So definitely check us out. Check out those episodes. All you gotta do is go to YouTube, type in Ringside Society, and once you see that really good-looking, oh so handsome, dark blue and light blue yin yang sound, the blue flames around it, that's when you know it's us. So make sure you subscribe to all our videos because we got a lot of cool stuff coming up, especially in like the next 30 minutes. Because like I said, I'm serious. You don't want to miss a thing like Aerosmith in 1998. Trust me, we got a lot of cool things coming. And with that being said, we just want to thank everybody tuning in live tonight. We really and truly appreciate it. Thank you very much. We strive on being one of the best wrestling podcasts a wrestling fans should listen to, and we will keep doing that. That's why we have the blue flame around our logo as well, because that's a flame you cannot really put out. To those of y'all that are going to listen later on, thank you very much in advance. And to those of y'all that hate us, can't stand us, really and truly wish we would just go away and take our wrestling game talk and our merch with us. Well, like myself at the Golden Corral, Rob Bass at a taco festival, and Kathy Knight at Cafe Du Monde for the buy one, get one free special. We're not going anywhere for a while.
They hate us because they ain't us.
And we ain't stopping. It's been 4 years now. With that being said, we just want to let everybody know that we're very well and aware. It is no secret to us that everybody and their grandparents and their parents have a podcast. But we're not your grandparents' podcast. We're not your parents' podcast. As a matter of fact, we're not just any podcast. Hashtag we are not the same. So with that being said, Kathy Knight, Rob Bass, Giorgio, you know the lingo by now. And JB, I'm pretty sure you got it too. Christina, if you get it, chime in with us. One time for the mind, one time for the people, one time for the wrestling culture, and one time for our great guests, Giorgio Arcade, JB versus the World, and Christina Drobny.
Woo!
What type of podcast are we?
All right, 3, 2, 1. We're the Wrestling
Wrestling
Fans
Fans
Podcast.
That's right. We're the Wrestling Fast Podcast, Ringside Society. And we'll be back in a couple of minutes with a new wrestler that's making that recently made his debut, is making a name for himself. Rob, you're very familiar with this guy. We're talking about Cousin Wyatt. But until then, until the next couple of minutes, please do us 4 favors. Stay safe, stay healthy, be excellent to each other, and party on, dudes. We out. Peace.
See y'all. Good night. Stay classy, Delaware.
Bye.